Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bad Coffee Podcasts, where we're brewing up wealth insights and fresh perspectives for your journey. I'm Odette, back again with the ever-inspiring Beatrix.
Hey there. Always such a pleasure, Odette, and hello to all our listeners. I have to say, today's topic comes courtesy of Brian, our producer, who threw something a bit different into the mix for us, didn't he?
He certainly did. Brian handed us this story about the acorn becoming an oak tree, and honestly, I was hooked from the get-go. There's something about taking inspiration from nature that just hits, doesn't it, Bea?
It really does. I mean, we've talked about transformation a lot on this show. If you remember our last episode, The Giant Killer's Mindset, we dove into tackling big challenges. Today, we're looking at growth in a more literal sense, starting as a tiny acorn and working your way up to that mighty oak.
That's exactly it. And sometimes we forget there's all this messy middle part, the bit where it's not glamorous and you're basically a seed in the dirt. Or in this case, an acorn waiting for your moment.
So here's what's wild. Most fallen acorns don't even get their shot. If they land too close to the parent tree, there's not enough light coming through the canopy to let them grow. Nature sort of has this built-in filter, right?
Aye, and here's the fun bit. I always think about the squirrels and, little woodland creatures scurrying about, moving those acorns. They're the unwitting agents of destiny.
Exactly. They're like these little venture capitalists, scattering seeds, spreading opportunity outside the crowded market, forest. But the acorn itself needs more than just a lucky break, doesn't it?
It really does. The seedling needs loose, moist, nutrient-rich soil. Basically, all the right conditions. And don't forget sunlight and a decent helping of rain. Sometimes when folks start a new business, they just want to skip to the oak tree bit. But you gotta make sure you're not stuck under someone else's shadow first.
That's a brilliant metaphor, actually. We've sort of danced around this in earlier episodes, especially when we talked about setting up the right environment for growth, like we did in that Jim Rohn episode. Your habits, your support systems, those are your soil and sunlight, aren't they?
So once the acorn gets what it needs, it sends down a taproot. That's the first real act of growth, digging deep before it ever heads upward. And then, only then, does a shoot break through the surface, looking for light. Such a slow but crucial start.
Sometimes that bit feels invisible. Nothing super exciting from the outside. Kind of like when you're building skills or doing your research. It doesn't always look like much, but it sets up everything that happens next.
And just like with money habits, I think you said something similar in the FX Millionaire episode, about building a foundation with your FX strategies before you ever see those big results.
Right. It all starts underground. And then, after pushing through, if it survives the dangers, our little seedling finally stands a chance at becoming a sapling. But obstacles never really go away, do they?
No, they absolutely don't. Even after you sprout, your challenges just get bigger. For our acorn, that means deer, fires, or human construction plowing through. For us, it's market downturns, competitors, or, even self-doubt nipping at your leaves, right?
Oh, 100%. And it's funny, because just like an oak needs years to become established, a young business or a new habit, it takes time and perseverance. 4 or 5 years as a sapling, dodging trouble just to see another summer.
And that's if you don't get eaten by deer, or in business terms, eaten by someone else's agenda or random bad luck. But if you survive that, the rewards grow exponential, don't they, Beatrix? You get to flower, produce your own acorns, and suddenly you're part of a much bigger story.
And here's where the real lesson hits, I think. Every mighty oak was once just a little acorn in the dirt, waiting for a chance. The oak eventually grows strong enough to bear its own acorns, laying the foundation for the future. Because, let's be honest, We all want the legacy, but not always the messy growing part, right?
Oh, aye, you said it. I see so many people skip the seedling stage, thinking they can just jump straight to being an oak. But you can't skip the heaviness of growing in the dark, the patience, the danger, the waiting. If you're building a business, or even just changing a habit, you need to respect where you are in the process. Even starting in the mud isn't a bad thing. It's a place of potential.
That's such an important point. It's like we want fruit without the root, and it just doesn't work that way. The uncomfortable parts lead you to the legacy, eventually, if you stick with the process and, weather the storms.
Absolutely. So, next time you're starting something new, think of yourself as that little acorn. Find good soil. Dig deep. Be patient. And don't be in a rush to outgrow your season. Every oak started small and slow. There's power in every stage.
And if you're in a tough patch right now, maybe that's just your sapling season. Keep going. As we always say, this journey is about building layer by layer, whether it's with money, mindset, or a new venture. Shall we wrap up for today, Adette?
We shall. Thank you so much for joining us, and if you enjoyed this, there's plenty more in our Digital Wealth Learning and Digital Wealth Millionaire series, whether you're just starting out or you're aiming for mighty oak status yourself. And cheers to Brian L. for handing us this metaphor. It was a good one.
Don't forget you'll find us and maybe some questionable coffee over at the Bad Coffee Abstract Art Store on the Money Safe platform. I'm Beatrix, and I'll see you on the next one.
And I'm Odette. Be kind to yourself in every stage. See you all soon.